part of the Boundless Audio Podcast Network.
Hello, welcome to the Artist Pivot Podcast. My name is Ayana Major-Bay, and I am an actress, voiceover artist, mentor, and your host. This show is a bi-weekly conversation highlighting pivots and life lessons from the perspective of artists, those who work in and around the arts, and arts educators. For those listening who don't consider themselves artists, you can pivot too. Everyone possesses the ability to do so. You just have to be reminded sometimes. All of our life lessons have taught us to be better pivoters, and it is my goal to share these life lessons to guide and inspire others. Here is this week's episode. All right, y'all. So on this episode, I am so excited to say that joining me is actor, mental health advocate, and fitness instructor, Carlita Victoria. And she is a Raleigh, North Carolina native and a lover of cupcakes and laughter. Carlita founded Darkness Rising nonprofit for Black mental health to create a safe space and mental health resources for the Black community due to her personal mental health experiences. Some of her select credits include The Dr. Oz Show, Apple, AARP, In the Heights, Jesus Christ Superstar, Hairspray, The Color Purple, Dreamgirls, Little Shop of Horrors, and some tours of Broad Comedy, Chuck Davis and the African American Dance Ensemble, Madagascar Live China, and Circus Connelly, Switzerland. Carlita is a licensed mental health first aid instructor and the chief wellness advisor for the Harriet Tubman Effect. Y'all, welcome Carlita. Hello there.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so very welcome. So very welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing today?
Listen, I am
I'm listening.
I am making it today. Today is a better day than it was yesterday, and so I am grateful for that progress.
Yes. All right. I would take that. And so my first question to you would be, so if I did ask you, I actually texted you this, Carlita, how are you doing? How is your day? What's going on? But you could only respond to me in emojis only. What would you text me?
That's a great question. I would text you the eye roll emoji.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Because it's not a bad day today, but
Right.
it's also like some things are just frustrating.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yes. I know that eye roll emoji quite well.
That's real.
Yes, that's real. Yes. So thank you so much for that imaginary text. Thank you. Um, so I wanted to bring you onto the show and talk to you because we've known each other for a couple of years, haven't we? I'm
Yeah, through auditions and
yes.
just the
And
life.
life. Just the life.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so, y'all, she is an actor, a mental health advocate, and a fitness instructor. So she's a multi-hyphenate. She has lots of beautiful things going on in her life. But I wanted to talk to her, like the podcast is called, about her pivots and life lessons learned. And so, Carlita, I would like to ask, how did this all begin? Where did it start? Like college, before college, and then, if it was college, I know you majored in dance. Well, when you graduated, what happened? Like all of how did life start and the pivots start? So take us back to the beginning.
That deep sigh. Well, what happened?
Right.
Well, my journey as an artist started when I was young, like elementary school. I knew I wanted to dance professionally, and my parents were totally on board with that.
Mhm.
And somehow every single teacher that I had from elementary school all the way through high school, all of my teachers all went to the same college. And
Really?
I realized that somewhere along in my journey, that every single one of them, every dance teacher, they studied with the same teacher. And I realized that I really liked I liked their teaching style. I liked their movement. And I wanted to know, where did you study? And they started telling me, and I was like, oh, you went to UNCG. Oh, you went to UNCG. Oh, you went to UNCG. And they all studied with the same professor.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, not all of them, but they'll study with the same professor or one who did a similar style.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to UNCG. That's how I decided. But I only applied to that one school. In hindsight, I'm like, probably should have applied to more schools. But
But it's like,
everything happens for a reason.
There you go. There you go.
I applied to one school and I got in there and I knew the professors I wanted to study with. I studied safety release technique, a contemporary dance style, and I knew that I wanted to be a concert dancer. I did not know how little concert dance pays. No one really prepares you for that part of it. So I went to school. I graduated. I went on tour right after college with Chuck Davis and the African American Dance Ensemble, doing African dance and contemporary dance. And then I moved to New York after that.
Okay.
And I didn't start doing musical theater until a few years after that, because I didn't even know I ever wanted to do musical theater. Musical theater was never in my sights. I didn't go to school for it or study it or know hardly anything about it. I think I had seen like one Broadway show in my life at that point. And I heard some whispers of some people talking about some auditions and some chitter chatter about money. And I said, oh, people are getting paid like cash money for this. And I was like, okay, maybe I need to explore some more options, because concert dance was going really well as far as me getting auditions and me getting seen, and I was touring, and that was great. But I was like, this is not paying the bills.
Right.
So I started trying to make that transition and pivoting into musical theater, which was its own struggle.
Right. Yes. It is its own struggle. That is correct. But that was your first one where you were like, my mission, what I want to do is concert dance. And then you're like, oh, I love it, but y'all are not paying me enough to survive.
Right. I have bills.
Right.
And it just they weren't getting paid, especially not in New York. It just wasn't happening. But when I moved to New York, I also had a teaching license.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in college, I got 2 degrees. I got my dance performance and choreography degree. And then I also got a K through 12 dance teaching license.
Okay.
And I knew that I enjoyed teaching, but I also knew I didn't want to teach for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Or if I did, then I wanted to be on my own terms.
Fair. You could pick up teaching when you wanted to.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so when I moved to New York, I started teaching full time in a school which shall not be named because
that's fine.
The way that it was the stress of my life. It wasn't the students. I loved the students. They were incredible. They loved dancing. I mean, they were so committed. It was beautiful. I had struggles with the administration, with them not seeing me as a real teacher. Yeah. And them seeing me as, oh, this is an arts teacher, so she's basically a babysitter, and we're going to send her kids whenever teachers are out. We'll just send her whoever is left, like just all the classes whenever they just don't have a teacher.
Oh, no. What?
I was like, no, I'm teaching lessons here. No, we are doing dance history. We are dancing. I don't care how young these students are. We're dancing.
Right. Wow.
Turned to a bit of a nightmare. Yeah, it was not a great experience. I will say that school now is changed into a different school with a different principal who is on the right path.
Okay, yes.
So.
Okay, right. And we'll take, arts teachers seriously.
Right.
And the arts seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really disappointing because when you're in college and you're studying, teaching, you're excited about, teaching, not being thought of as someone who's not really a teacher. So, yeah. but I
Uh-huh.
did really love my students.
Yes. Yes.
So
And I love that. A teacher who does love your students, that's great. Because
they were
your students
great.
can feel that as well when
Yeah.
you love what you're teaching and loving the fact that you get to teach it to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
They were so excited to come to dance class. They were like, "Oh, we get to dance. We get to move our bodies. Like, this is our time." And I
Yeah.
loved that.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
great. I love that. I love that. Yes. So you were doing that with a mix of contemporary dance, and then you started auditioning for musical theater. And so then when you got into the world that is musical theater, how long did you know, live in that hustle, be in that hustle, eat, drink, sleep the hustle before you were like, yeah, okay, I got to make another pivot?
yeah. That hustle is truly a hustle, and it's a hustle that I feel like I am still in, but also
Mhm.
that I've separated myself from enough that I can live without it,
Ooh, okay.
which has been a journey, you
Mhm.
know.
Mhm.
So I did the pound the pavement, wake
Mhm.
up at the crack of dawn, get in line,
Mhm.
and wait hours and hours and be seen for maybe one audition. I did that for what, maybe 3-ish years, 3 or 4 years maybe before I became equity, and then
Mhm.
was still pounding the pavement, but just
Yes.
didn't have to wake up as early,
As
but still
early,
early.
yes. Yes, that's it. We got an extra
Still
hour of
early.
sleep, okay?
Right.
Just an extra
Just
hour being
just
equity.
have 1 extra hour.
Right.
Um, and I think I did that for about 8 years, I think,
Mhm, mhm.
before I took an official break
Okay.
and took a pivot from that and realized that my mental health was at stake and
Mhm,
that I really had to focus on my mental health if I wanted to survive just
mhm,
as a person, not even as an artist, not even as a musical theater artist, but just as a person.
mhm, mhm. That's fair. That's fair. Yes.
Yeah.
And that decision, did you stay in New York or you were like, you had to remove yourself?
I had to remove myself. So I left New York. I
Mhm.
moved back home to North Carolina,
Okay.
um, into my mother's house, welcomed me with open arms.
Mhm.
And it was very difficult, but I didn't audition. I
Okay.
didn't do any shows. I worked at a desk job,
Mhm. Mhm.
which is so odd. It was so
Uh-huh.
odd for me. But I worked at a festival. So I did work with artists. I worked as the assistant director of one of the largest festivals in North Carolina, the African
Mhm.
American Cultural Festival.
Okay.
And it was an eye-opening experience to be on the other side, to be on the production side and the casting side. And,
Mhm. Mhm.
it was definitely eye-opening. It was hard because I was like, "Oh, I really miss performing," but I also knew that if I didn't leave, I would not be taking care of myself.
Right.
And the way that I found out and that I finally came to terms with, like, "Hey, I have to go." Um, I was having a series of audition after audition, where I would walk into the room to sing or to dance,
Mhm.
and my body was shut down completely.
Oh,
And
no.
people would say, "Oh, but that doesn't happen when you're dancing, right? It's only when you're singing." I was like, "No, this can happen." It was happening no matter what I was doing. At
Hmm.
auditions that I was completely prepared for.
Mhm.
I would go into an audition where with dancing that I was fully capable of doing,
Mhm.
um, and I would shake so much. I would be like visibly and physically shaking.
Mm.
Um, and when it was my group's turn, I couldn't remember the movement. And the
Mhm.
movements wouldn't be anything that were so complex that I just, it was movement that I should have been able to remember, that I normally would have been able to remember, but I couldn't remember any of the movements. Or when it was my turn to do them, I would not do them successfully at all. And
Mhm.
I would feel like a failure every time. Or in a
Yes.
singing audition, I would forget
Mhm.
lyrics that I know very well, or sound would not come out of my mouth. I would literally open my
No.
mouth, piano would be playing, no air, nothing comes out. And that would happen again and again, or I would be in a callback or a final callback, or
Mhm.
or maybe the first callback or whatever.
Mhm.
And you know how a lot of times in these callbacks we we just get a new song, and they're like,
Yes.
hey, tomorrow do this,
Uh-huh.
and it would stress me out to the point that I could not remember the lyrics. I would hold the lyrics in my hand. I would have them
Mhm.
printed out, like ready to go,
Mhm.
very big. Should have been able to read it, but when I looked at the paper, it was fuzzy. It was all blurred out, and I couldn't see the lyrics. And
Wow.
that was happening again and again and
Mhm.
again. And I was like, I
Mhm.
can't continue to audition like this. I have
Mhm.
to stop.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I walked away.
Yeah. Yes. And you listened to your body. Like, you listened to yourself and said, "Okay, something's not right.
I did not
Something's
want
not
to
right."
listen.
Well, okay, a fair okay, okay.
I did not
All
want
right,
to.
speak the truth now, okay. You were like, "I don't want to," but it just got to the point where you're like, I have to."
Yeah,
Right,
I
right.
had no choice. Because
Mhm.
I started to feel like, what am I doing? Like, Carlita, you know that you can do these things. What is happening? You need
Mhm.
to go find out.
Mhm.
And also, I started to feel like I'm not representing myself well.
Mm. Yes.
And I'm leaving people with memories of me that they're not true.
Mhm.
These things are not even true of myself. I can do all of these things, and I'm not going to leave people with this memory of me that says that I can't when I know that I can.
Right. Right, right, right. Understood, understood. So you moved back home and you were like, "Okay, I gotta take care of Carlita. Like, we gotta figure out what this is." So, with that move home and then the desk job, is that where Darkness Rising came from? Like, that project, like, when you were home and sitting down and going, "Okay, what else can I do? Who else can I help in helping myself?" Is that kind of where it came from?
Almost.
Okay.
So Darkness Rising came just before that. It was
Got it.
within the
Okay.
same year.
Okay.
So that year, that was 2018.
Mhm.
And in 2018, that is when I created Darkness Rising. And
Okay.
that's when I started to really care about my mental health.
Got it.
And so that was definitely a part of that journey. But during 2018 is when I was having these back-to-back auditions that were going really poorly because of my mental health, or because of the way I was feeling in the room.
Mhm.
Um, uh, and I I started stepping back, and I started going to therapy.
Mhm.
I was doing In the Heights,
Mhm.
and In the Heights is a really fun show. So I was having a great time,
Yeah.
in the show. But I would go home every night, and I I was miserable,
Mhm.
and not because of what I was doing, but because actually I didn't know, there was something. I felt
Yeah.
empty. I felt like I wanted to end my life. And
Mhm.
so I would go home every night and try to figure out, okay, I'm going to end my life tonight. And then I would be
Mhm.
like, oh, maybe I'll wait till tomorrow. We have another show. And I know that sounds
Mhm.
so odd, but I felt an obligation to the show.
Right,
I felt
right.
an obligation to my cast and crew members. And that is the only thing that kept me alive,
Mhm.
because I didn't tell anybody.
Okay.
I had an incredible support system, never said a word to them
Mm.
about the way that I was feeling.
Okay.
But I was having these suicidal ideations, and I was just trying to survive the show,
Mhm.
honestly, and
Mhm.
trying to get to the end of the run. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay, when I get to the end of the run, I'm going to try to see a therapist. So I tried reaching out to therapists. No one would see me, no one would take me. They
What?
said that I was a liability and they would not see me. Yeah, months months went by with
Mhm.
therapist after therapist telling me, nope, can't help you, can't help you.
Okay.
Um, and I almost gave up.
Mhm.
And just before I was about to give up, I found a therapist who would see me.
Okay. Okay.
So that holding on to that
Ooh, that just gave me chills. Ooh. Mhm.
I wonder if that therapist had said no, I wonder if I would have made it another
Yeah.
day. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, I started seeing that therapist. I started having some hope,
Mhm.
and that was the beginning of Darkness Rising.
Okay.
And I decided that I wanted to help other people who look like me, who were having trouble finding someone who looked like them.
Mhm.
um i wanted to I wanted to provide hope to people, provide resources, um and take doing that pivot, stepping back
Mhm.
from those auditions, moving back home. That really helped me flesh out, what is Darkness Rising, what am
Mhm.
I going to do, what message am I going to send, how am I going to help people.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if I hadn't taken that time away from auditioning, I don't think that Darkness Rising would be where we are today.
Right. Right. That makes a lot of sense. Like, so my next question to you would be, in this time of like a pandemic, because we're technically still in it, even though, we loosen the restrictions and things. But how have you, in essence, elevated, leveled up, and like even used Darkness Rising to be like, hey, y'all, like we're here for you no matter what, even in this pandemic?
Darkness Rising has saved my life during this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And based on the responses from people who have used Darkness Rising's free resources, it's
Mm-hmm.
saving other people's lives as well.
Okay.
And I'm grateful for that. I'm very proud of that. We have received more outreach and more requests
Mm-hmm.
for resources from Darkness Rising during this pandemic than we have through our entire time as a
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that is due to the stress of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that is due to the police brutality that the Black community has endured before and during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it's been a rough journey,
Yeah.
for everyone during the pandemic, but especially for Black people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because of the health disparities, because we don't have access to the health care and the mental health care that we deserve.
Yeah.
Um, it's been a really rough journey. So we've had, for our Help Me Find a Therapist program and for our Rebuild program, that
Mm-hmm.
those free programs provide connections to Black therapists
Mm-hmm.
and BIPOC therapists for the Rebuild program. Uh, for people who are in seeking a therapist, and we
Mm-hmm.
also pay for free therapy. We pay for therapy and provide
Yeah.
free therapy for BIPOC, formerly incarcerated, and injustice involved people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have had
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of requests because our people want we want the help and we deserve the help. And why should we have
Absolutely.
these barriers?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And it's that wanting the help, and, Darkness Rising is like, okay, we have to figure out how to get past these barriers. And like, no, we're not going to accept the barriers anymore,
Yeah.
for our people. And I also, and this is my personal opinion, is like now also the stigma of going to therapy and seeking mental health help is diminishing. It's not fully
Yeah.
gone, but I 100% believe that it is diminishing. And that's why people are reaching out to you and going, okay, yeah, I do need help. And okay, there are some barriers, but okay, I got Darkness Rising, so maybe I can ask them. So this
Yeah.
whole kind of situation has happened for a reason, to save your life first and then to save others as well.
I feel very honored regarding that. And as far as the stigma, it's something that is a constant battle.
Hmm.
And we do feel like it's being reduced, and our one of our main goals is to help in the reduction
Hmm.
of the stigma. It's also important to us because we feel often, I'll speak for myself, I feel often like sometimes mental health, the topic of mental health becomes trendy on, like,
Hmm.
social media,
Media.
and
Uh-huh.
but I'm like, this is my real life. This is what I live every single day.
Yeah.
I wake up every day with mental illnesses, and I go to bed every day with mental illnesses.
Hmm.
And for as much as we have this 1 month that's dedicated to mental health,
Mhm, mhm.
we're gonna need more.
We're gonna, yes, yes.
And we're also going to need tangible resources. And
Yes.
that's, to me, why Darkness Rising is so important, because it's important for us to do more than just say, oh, reach out when you need somebody. Because for me, when I am in my darkest hour, I do not want to reach out. And when I was in my darkest hour, it took me months to reach out.
Mhm, mhm.
And for a lot of us, it's going to take a lot to reach out. To feel safe reaching out is going to take a lot.
Yes, yes.
Um, and the resources that we are providing, they have, during the pandemic, the pivot for
Mhm,
me has been, obviously I didn't have as much access to being able to perform.
mhm.
Um, but I also was able to quit my 9 to 5 job. and do Darkness Rising full time.
Yes.
Which for me is
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, like I left my job. I'm doing the thing that I created full time, and
Yes.
I never imagined this for myself. Like
Mm-hmm.
in my wildest of dreams. I never
Mm-hmm.
imagined that I I mean, not to sound like I'm such a boss, but but it's
But you are. You are. I'm gonna make you sit in that. You are.
thank you. It feels so good to wake up every single day
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to work on Darkness Rising and let that be
Mm-hmm.
my full-time job, and also to be able to pay a team of people who are
Mm-hmm.
also believe in this effort and are part of the team in this effort,
Right.
to not have to
Yes.
wake up every day and be like, oh my gosh, I have to do this by myself again. Like that is
Mm-hmm.
so much stress.
Uh-huh. Yes.
It's
Yes.
lonely to feel like you're just doing it alone, and it feels like I'm the only one who cares about what I'm doing. But to have this incredible board and this incredible team of people behind me, with me,
Mm-hmm.
it's a feeling I cannot explain. And the pandemic created the opening for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I am grateful for that.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, yes, yes. So, my next question to you would be, what is one lesson that you have learned or are still learning that you would like to share?
One thing that I've learned in this journey is not to look sideways.
Mm-hmm.
That my journey is my journey, and there's so much power that I have within myself,
Mm-hmm.
and not to devalue the power that I have.
Ooh.
Um, it's something that I'm still learning.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself looking sideways often.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, what's she doing? Look at all these jobs they have. They're doing this, they're doing that. Why
Mm-hmm.
not me? Why not me? Why not me? So I still perform, I still do shows, I still, that has not that's something that I still do and I still pursue, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it is difficult for me because I see people that I have been auditioning with for years, and I see their lives taking this, like, what appears on my end to be
Mm-hmm.
this like amazing turn. I don't know what it's like for them actually, but
Yeah.
on my end it's like, oh wow, they're doing all of these amazing things. Why not me?
Mm-hmm.
And in therapy, my therapist reminds me constantly, hey, Carlita, look what you're doing. You're
Uh-huh.
also doing these amazing things, and look what you have to offer. And if you weren't doing what you were doing, look how many lives would not have been saved.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to daily remember and hold on to that. And also remember that what I offer on and off stage, there's value on
Yeah.
and off stage for me.
Mm-hmm.
If I decide today to stop doing musical theater, there's still value in what I have to offer as an artist. I don't stop being an artist because I'm not in a show.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Listen,
Yes.
that is so
Listen,
hard.
girl, I'm listening and I know. Okay.
I I just got back from an audition, and I did two auditions, and one of them went really well and
Mm-hmm.
the other one I didn't get, and I was like, what do you mean I didn't get it? Like,
Like, yes, yes.
pardon?
Excuse me? I think we got something wrong here.
Right. And not because like I think so much of myself, but because it's one of those shows that I've been on this journey. I've
Mm,
auditioned so many times, and I've been
yes.
on that journey with them all the way through the final like all these callbacks, and I was like, what? I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Right.
What do you mean I didn't? It's hard every time.
Mhm.
It's and it's I grieve every time.
Mhm.
Still,
Mhm.
it's not, some people, they say, oh, well, after all this time of being in the business, you get used to no's, right? I mean,
I mean, I guess you get used to some of the no's? Question mark?
right. I'm like, I'm still grieving this job
Mhm.
because I wanted the job,
Mhm.
and B, I felt like it was a good fit for me. I felt like in my mind, the timing was right. At
Uh-huh.
least in the timing I had created for myself.
Right. Right.
My suitcase was packed. I was ready to go. Like, I was ready.
Yeah. Right.
um, but I also understand that, you know, I have to go with the journey that I have right now.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And so the journey that I have, that's the journey that I'm on, and that's what I got. And I'm I've decided not to stop pursuing musical theater, at least for
Mm-hmm.
now in my life. I'm going to continue. And there's going to be that next show, and there's going to be that next pivot, and there's going to be that next thing that I do. And whatever I do, um, I'm going to, if it goes well, it goes well, wonderful. And if it doesn't, I'm going to allow myself space to grieve. And because I'm going to honor the feelings that I have.
Right. That right there. And you're just like, okay, I'm going to honor these feelings and then I'm going to go to the next thing and the next
Yeah.
thing. And iteration seems to have been my word for like this season. So like the next iteration of Carlita, okay, I'm going to do this. Oh, and then I'm going to do that. Okay, maybe I'll audition. Didn't get it. Great. I'm going to go do that. Like,
Yeah.
but having the ability to do that and the space and the emotional and mental flexibility to go, okay, my bags were packed. I thought that was for me, but okay, that's fine. Let's go do this.
Right. Right.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then in my time where I'm taking time for myself, I have not auditioned at all this week
Okay.
because I'm taking a break
Mhm. Mhm.
because I deserve to take a break.
Yes.
Last week was a very emotional week, and now I want some space away from
Mhm.
auditioning,
Mhm.
and I want to visit other parts of myself.
Mhm.
I will get back to auditioning next week or the week after. It'll
Mhm.
be there. It will
Mhm.
always be there.
Yeah. Yes. It will always be there. And I like that. I'm gonna borrow that from you. I'm gonna go visit other parts of myself. I like that. I
Yeah.
really like that.
Because they are there. And
Mhm.
so that might mean doing a project around the house,
Mhm.
making my house look cute, whatever it is.
Mhm.
I'm going to actually have planned to go get some plants. That's what I'm going to be
Oh,
doing.
yes.
Yeah.
I
That's
love
my plan for this
plants.
weekend. Yeah.
Ooh, I
So I'll
love
be
it.
visiting that part of myself.
Yes, come on, plant mom. I got 6 of
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
They're
I have,
thriving.
yes, I have 8. My sister is babysitting a couple right now,
Okay,
but I'm very proud of myself for
I
keeping them
love it.
alive.
Yeah, I'm proud of you too. Okay, I'm proud of you too. High five. High five
Listen.
to both of us because before the
Right.
pandemic, I was like, I kill plants. I can't. But listen, YouTube University got me
Right.
together and my plants
Right.
are thriving.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Love that for us.
Love it. I love it. I love it for us. I love it. So my last question to you would be, what would be just like your one nugget of wisdom that you could give anybody, whether they're an artist or not, just another human being? What would be your nugget of wisdom to give?
I feel like I think I've already said my nugget, but
Mhm. You can say it again.
okay. My nugget is don't look sideways.
Mhm.
My advice to everyone is don't look sideways. What you have inside of you is of value. What you have inside of you is enough.
Mhm.
And honor that you already have inside of you, and visit new parts of yourself.
Yes. Yes.
That's my nugget. Visit new parts of yourself.
Ooh, perfect. I love it. You wrapped it up in a nice little bow. Yes. I love it. I love it so much. Oh, Carlita, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you, thank
Thank
you, thank
you.
you. Before I let you go, I got 2 more things. So one, where can people find you? Your Instagrams, your websites, whatever else you use, all of that.
I'm not on Black Planet
Okay.
anymore, but
Does that still exist?
I don't know.
Oh,
I have
okay.
no idea. If people want to visit me, I am online at It's Carlita V. Those are my socials on Twitter and on Instagram. I have a website, carlitavictoria.com. Darkness Rising can be found at darknessrisingproject.org, and also on Instagram and Facebook at Darkness Rising Project, and on Twitter at Dark Rise Project. And you can have access to our free resources. We love a free resource. Come and enjoy.
Yes, yes. Thank you. And don't worry, all of that will go in the show notes, everybody. So you can just click and you can have access. And then also, I must say to you before I let you go, is I acknowledge you, I celebrate you, and I uplift you.
I received that. Thank you so much. I received that and I needed that today.
You're so very welcome. You are so very welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Please feel free to visit this episode's show notes for links to get in touch with my guest, as well as a link to rate and review my podcast on Podchaser. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, all you have to do is scroll down to the rate and review section. You can find and connect with me on Instagram at The Artist Pivot to see audiograms, fun facts, and posts featuring my guest. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already to get notified when a new episode is out. And please share this episode with at least one friend. For those who are working on their mental health and well-being, on a journey of facing your fears, or trying therapy for the first time, our show sponsor BetterHelp is here to help you. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist. So you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. BetterHelp makes professional therapy accessible and affordable with 20,000 plus therapists in their network, and the ability to request a new therapist at no additional charge anytime. I have found that therapy is a tool to use to improve your life in one of the healthiest ways. So join the 2 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health with an experienced BetterHelp therapist. So many people use BetterHelp that they are currently recruiting additional therapists in all 50 states. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/artistpivot. That's betterhelp.com/artistpivot. Ever heard the phrase found time? Well, Audible helps you find the time to get more stories and information while commuting, cooking, gardening, exercising, etc. Audible is the leading provider of spoken word entertainment and audiobooks, ranging from bestsellers to celebrity memoirs, news, business, and self-development. Every month, members get 1 credit to pick any title, plus 2 Audible originals from a monthly selection, and access to daily news digests, as well as guided meditation programs. They have podcasts, theatrical performances, A-list comedy, and exclusive Audible originals you won't find anywhere else. Fun fact, if you listened to every title on Audible, you'd be listening for more than 3 centuries. So click the link in the show notes or visit audibletrial.com/theartistpivot to start your 30-day free trial of Audible and listen to that book you haven't read yet or laugh at a comedy special while doing the dishes. Again, that's audibletrial.com/theartistpivot. Using the link lets Audible know that we sent you and a great way to support the show. This episode was edited by Kieran Niemand and produced by me, Ayana Major Bay. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll speak to you soon.